Hello and welcome to another live AISH On Campus video. I'm Danielle Jeffries, coming to you as your host yet again. We've got a really exciting show lined up for tonight with some really great guests, just from a really varied group of people, which is really cool. But I just want to first talk about my silver linings and the silver linings that we've been having during this lockdown period. I mean, what are your silver linings for this lockdown period? Please comment below and post your comments in the comment section, and we'll read them out throughout the show. We'd love to hear what your silver linings are. For me, I know it's been the fact that I spent so much quality time with my family. Being a university student, well, having finished now, but being a university student means that I don't see my family as much as I want to see them, and to have spent so much quality time with them at home, with all of them, is just lovely. Playing board games, doing things that we just wouldn't normally do, but all together, which is really sweet. Just going back to the show that we had 2 weeks ago, speaking to the gift volunteer manager, Shira. It was an amazing show and it was really interesting. And it really inspired me to put a silver lining in other people's lives as well. So I actually took the initiative to start making bracelets out of beads and strings. For example, my string ones and bracelet ones here, like this, and I just raised some money for them in honor of the amazing work they're doing, and I just want to bring that silver lining to other people. But I want to hear what your silver linings of lockdown have been, regardless of what's been going on in the outside world. But for tonight, I would like to first welcome our first guest, who is Esther Offenberg. She's the president of the Union of Jewish Students. We hope she's always looking for a positive of life and of the Jewish community. So I'd love to welcome Esther.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. We'd love to speak to you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really good. I really loved your introduction. It was very positive and uplifting. I really enjoyed
What
that.
have your highlights been over lockdown? Because I know everyone's is very different.
I think a bit of a basic one, but just a lot of baking, I did a classic banana bread the other day and just trying out a lot of new recipes. I mean, it's a bit tough with the flour shortage, I think, that everyone's experiencing. Yeah. So I have been getting creative and trying different gluten-free and vegan recipes, even though no one in my family is gluten-free or vegan.
You just got to vary yourself depending on the demands of the products. I mean, there was one time when I had to go to 5 shops just to get eggs. Ridiculous, but it's a necessity when you want to bake. But it's definitely cool to experiment.
I couldn't hear what you just said. What was that?
I've just been going to there was one time when I had to go to 5 shops just to get eggs, which is crazy, but you just need it for baking.
I hear you. I know. Really, I guess in that moment you find out what an advantage it is to be vegan and know how to bake in a vegan way.
You use the products that you've actually got available to you, definitely. Yeah. But we want to hear about your experience as the UJS president. It's a massive role that you've got, and just tell us about your journey and where you've got to where you are now.
Oh, that's such a big question. Okay, so where have I come from? So I guess a bit of background. So I come from an Israeli family, but I grew up in Berlin, in Germany, and lived there my whole life. I went to an English school, which is how I learned English and just kind of got the idea of wanting to keep studying in English, and so went to Birmingham to study. Did psychology there. Quite Jewish, so
I'm doing the same.
I was gonna say, the funny thing is I didn't realize it was such a Jewish subject, maybe in the UK, because I got there and people would ask me and they'd be like, oh, psychology classic. I'd be like, really? I was actually interested in it.
Very stereotypical.
I know, but I mean, I still enjoyed it. I enjoyed my degree, and really didn't know what to expect going in, and kind of got there and got to JSOC, and the first Friday night had more than 200 people, and that was just overwhelming to me in the most positive way, where I'd never had so many young Jewish people around me who just got me immediately on another level. And so that was the way that usually sometimes people go to uni and they try to leave the Jewish bubble. I really loved it and really immersed myself. And so also ran to be on JSOC committee in the first year. I was events officer and got to plan all the cool parties and the socials. Some may say my Purim party was legendary. I would like to say so. But yeah, that was just really fun, and kind of then going throughout uni, being really active in JSOC, and then through that getting to know UJS on a national level and kind of how they supported me and my JSOC, but then getting kind of more national opportunities, going to like UJS Summit, which is like a weekend, like a leadership weekend where all new committees come together and you get like committee training and leadership training. And so made friends from all over the UK from different JSOCs. And really like some of my best friends still come from that first Shabbaton. And yeah, so then when it got to my third year, I thought like, why not give it a go? Because elections for UJS president usually happen in like December time. So I was like, why not? And then, well, I mean, the minute I say like a maybe, it's definitely a yes for me. And so, yeah, like prepared my campaign, had amazing friends helping me along the way. Definitely a team effort, and then got elected, and that was incredible. And then you have like a 6-month transition period, and then I started in June, and now I'm slowly coming to an end.
I mean, it's amazing that you clearly got a passion for working with the Jewish community of like students and stuff, which is definitely a necessity at uni. Like you say, people find themselves like wandering out of the bubble, and to keep people in, you definitely need to get that community vibe going. And like you're clearly passionate about that, which is so important for the role that you've taken. I mean, you mentioned at the end that you're like coming out of your period. So like, what happens next then? Like, is someone else taking over? Like, did you ever think of reapplying?
Well, yeah, so someone is taking over for sure. I'm not just leaving UJS and there's no one there. We have James Harris taking over, who's going to be an amazing president, I'm sure. And we have a handover period as well for a while, so kind of will be overlapping. But he'll be taking over at the end of June, and wish him loads of luck. He'll be amazing. But I guess I did think about rerunning. I would like to think that everyone gives it a thought. But I think the reality of it was just, it was at a time when, you know, we're preparing this, like UJS Summit, which is that weekend where also the election period usually starts, and it's kind of fairly at the beginning of the year, like October, November, when you start preparing your campaign. And I was just fully in my role and really loving it and really wanted to give it my all. And in hindsight, very grateful that I did. And also just for the freshness of the organization. That's kind of the uniqueness of it, where every year you have a new president coming in with fresh ideas and fresh drive, because it is a very intense job where like you really want to give it all, and really want to be there for students at all times. And so it's always the president who's new every year, and then also a sabbatical team, which is, I don't know, varies in size, but I don't know, 4 or 5 people, whatever. And they're the ones kind of responsible for different areas like social action or interfaith or Holocaust education, for example, but then also are the ones working with the committees directly, and kind of so that every committee has their contact person that they can always rely on.
I mean, like you said, like I think it's good to it is good to have fresh faces and fresh ideas. I mean, like your passion's clearly amazing, but someone else's passion might also be good. And for someone else, like to give someone else a chance to do that is also a really special thing. And to like how, like you say, you had that transition period. It's really cool to kind of bounce off each other and then have a slow transition rather than a stop-start. Like I definitely think that's an important factor. It's a necessity when you're running something such a big campaign like this in a big organization. I mean, one thing that UJS do is like help run like the JSOC's Friday night dinners, right? Which is clearly a big part of the community. Everyone loves a good Friday night dinner. Chicken soup is the one. Like you can't go wrong with it. But like, what's going to happen next year? Like, is there going to be a change? Like, do you have any idea how it's going to change because of lockdown and like the whole coronavirus? Like, have you got any plans for all of that?
So I think it would be quite funny if I actually had all the answers. Imagine the whole university system is just waiting for the UJS president to tell them what's going to happen. And in one way, obviously, we're also just awaiting to hear from government and the way that different universities are going to handle the situation next year. And I mean, there's already some universities having released the measures they're going to take, with some not having lectures, some only having small seminars. And we're definitely keeping an eye on all of that, because that's super important. At the same time, I'd like to say kind of internally preparing, collating different information, trying out different systems of advice that we will be giving JSOCs close to the time. Similar as we did as Corona was happening, starting, I'd like to say, on campus back in January, February, March, we were giving continuous advice sheets and just and support to JSOCs with how to run their events at that time, how to make it still accessible for JSOC to still happen, but also have it be safe for their members, but also obviously wider community and family and all of that. To then obviously when eventually we had to say, listen, we can't recommend anymore. And I mean, it's not like anyone was debating us on that. This was really the government was saying it as well. Yeah. But so it's going to be just very similar coming out of this, having to be very measured in all of this and needing to take as many precautions as possible, but also being aware that Jewish life on campus is such a crucial part for Jewish students. A lot of times why people go to certain universities, why they choose their courses or something like that, because they want a certain experience. And that's a beautiful reason, I think, because you can have just the best experiences. I mean, some of my best experiences have come from university. So definitely can't give you a full structure. But it'll be interesting, and I think you just have to treat it as exciting times for new opportunities. Just also the way we've seen now.
I think the new opportunities thing is a massive thing, that positive outlook on being flexible, but going with it and embracing the fact that we're going to have to change, but that change is not necessarily a bad thing. I think that's a really special thing. I mean, lockdowns changed everyone's lives, but that doesn't mean that they have to change to the bad. We can embrace different things, and we say, the silver linings of lockdown that I discussed when I opened the show. It's so important to think about these positive aspects, and taking that from what you said with the Friday night dinners. I mean, how have you taken, what initiatives have you taken to encourage students to be involved in this? What projects have you gone ahead during lockdown, specifically, to keep Jewish students involved in the community?
So I think, it's been an exciting time, I'm going to say, despite obviously all the struggles that people have been facing, and that's definitely a side that we have had a lot of work that we've been doing with just supporting individuals, supporting JSOCs, welfare. All of that is very important. But on the positive side, I want to say there's been a lot of amazing initiatives of students themselves. We had I think this was 2 weeks ago, we had an inter-JSOC quiz happening online, through Zoom and Facebook Live. And that was something that we've wanted to do for a long time, but showed to be the most effective during lockdown times, where people are firstly just loving quizzes. But it was really great. We had over 50 people from different JSOCs taking part in that during the live, and then continuing afterwards. Stuff like that. Or one of my highlights is during this time of year, we always have a student awards gala, where we've been doing this, I think, more than 10 years now. Basically a night to just honor and celebrate and recognize the amazing work that Jewish students do on campus. And there's different awards that we give out, Social Action Project of the Year, Interfaith Activist, Liberation Activist. And when usually this is, a really fancy evening, we all get together, cocktails, and it's really nice. This had to be completely rethought. So obviously had it in a virtual way, but it was really nice to show the different side of it, where people were really into it. We had amazing attendance. It was nice to see so many people supporting their students. And we had, I think, more nominations than ever. So also nice to see that students are really recognizing each other and celebrating each other.
I think it's really important, and like we're definitely using our imagination a lot more, like since lockdown. I mean, like you say with the quizzes, like I'd have never done a quiz before. Like, I mean, I'm not the best at quizzes anyway, but like it's so fun being with your friends and just being silly and like on a call. I mean, like I say, I'd never done that before, and it's just a change, but we go with it and we enjoy it and we embrace it. And I think, I mean, it's bringing back that silver linings, and I really think it's such an important thing. Like, guys, come on, post them below. Like, I want to hear what silver linings you've got, but like, it is so important. Like, I think that we have to be positive, because otherwise we just bring ourselves down, and that's just not a necessity at the moment. We all need to be positive. Like, coming back to you, like, what are your like best stories and like the biggest things that you've like taken part in, like you're most excited, like the things that you'll really take with you after this sort of like, I mean, this journey doesn't come to an end, it like slowly fades away, but like they'll stay with you in your memories, of course. And like, I want to hear the most amazing stories that you've had like during your time as UJS president.
So I think the first one that comes to mind, and this definitely doesn't mean to reflect that stuff later on in the year wasn't amazing, but one of my favorite times as a student was always that UJS summit, which I don't know why I've said so many times just during this interview, but and then getting to lead that and run that within like the first 3-4 months of my presidency, because it happens in November time. That was just an incredible time. Like, I was, the whole weekend I was on an absolute high. We had over 120 elected Jewish student leaders there, and that's just a completely different vibe when every single person there like is there because they want to help their GSOC, because they want to be on committee, because they want to provide exciting new ideas for their GSOC, for their fellow friends, and just having a whole weekend of like them being super passionate about it, really seeing the amazing ideas that they're coming up with. And then also afterwards, like some of the ideas that they came up with on the weekend and then actually seeing them implemented is just so satisfying, and it's just such a beautiful thing to actually see come to life. I mean, I barely slept during that weekend, as I think a lot of people really didn't sleep, because you're just up and you're like really loving it. And at the same time as team, you're like preparing the next day and all of that. But that was definitely one of my highlights, that just that energy I really carried with me throughout the whole year, that energy from students that really drove me.
And I think it's an amazing thing, like you're clearly passionate about it, but to know that other people among the Jewish students like are also passionate, and to share that with people and like bounce off each other and get ideas, like it's fresh faces, like you say, there are people from different like areas, different JSOCs, and to have that like connection and community feel is like so important. That's what we're about. Like that's what this is all about. It's about bringing this like family together to work as a team almost. It's not like there's no competition, it like works, it just works well together. Yeah, I mean, like, do you have anything else you want to say? Like, I mean, like, your passion's incredible, like I love it, like this positivity is like making me feel excited, like it's amazing. But like, any last words, anything you want to say that like spreads this love and like spreads this community feel, and how amazing your experience has been?
Oh, that's really putting me on the spot, but I love it. By the way, I also love your vibe. I think you and I are very positive. I'm upset that we didn't get to meet before this, but post-corona, we'll have positive vibes. I don't know. I think just kind of, this has been an amazing year to me. Like just getting, it's such a privilege, without sounding like super cheesy, but it's been such a privilege to be in this job where like I get to do what I'm most passionate about. And I think it's always very weird for people, I don't know, for me to hear myself say like, I'm 22 and like, why am I so passionate about Jewish students? Why am I passionate about people my own age? But without questioning that, like I had an amazing time during my uni time that actually led me to this one-of-a-kind job that I will never forget. And I don't think there's anything like it in the Jewish community or in the wider world, where at such a young age, you get to come in and you're really given the chance and the trust by the Jewish community, but also by Jewish students to lead you and to actually implement the ideas that they are driving, the policy that they're voting on, the making their voices heard for them and with them, and really having kind of just everyone driving me that's one of a kind, and I'm so honored that I got to experience that this year, and I'm so excited for future generations of UJS. I'm so grateful for everyone before me who's paved the way. But I'm also just never going to be far. Like, I love the Jewish community. I love we have such a unique essence, and I'm definitely always going to be there on call, like trying to make just our Jewish community, our campuses, our everything, trying to make it as best as possible, and like just making it one big fun thing.
I think it's amazing because like your passion's not going to stop, like, and that's great. Like, continue it, like drive it through whatever else your journey and your path takes you. Like, use it 100%. It's amazing. But I do think that we're going to have to say goodbye. And thank you so much again. Positive vibes. Absolutely loving this. Like, seriously, it's amazing. So much admiration for it. Guys, keep your post your comments below. What positive vibes are you feeling? What's been your lockdown highlights? We want to know. But thank you so much, Esther. Really enjoy speaking with you. I'm feeling better already. You're feeling more positive. And so I'd like to welcome next onto the show, Nathan Baroda, who personally I've grown up with, is an amazing friend, an amazing person. He was actually voted as one of the most influential Jewish youths, which is like a massive title. It's amazing. So I had the privilege of working really closely with him in school. So can I welcome Nathan Baroda?
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Hi, Nathan.
Hi, how are you?
Very good. Long time no see. How are you?
Too long. All good, thanks. How about you?
Not too bad. How are you taking lockdown?
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? I mean, my hair, as you can see, has got very long. It's just an entirely weird experience. I mean, I feel like for the past few weeks I would have been locked indoors anyway, writing essays and stuff. Now I've got that out of the way. It's kind of Zoom call one after the other. Really, really weird times. Who knows how many quizzes and everyone's going to end up doing? But trying to find those silver linings that you're talking about.
Absolutely. Have you finished completely now? Finished uni or?
Yep, as of Sunday.
Amazing. It's the weirdest feeling though, because it's like kind of an anticlimax because you want to go celebrate, but also it kind of feels quite good just to be over and done.
Definitely. It was really, really weird to kind of submit it online as well, rather than the kind of classic exam hall,
Exactly.
which was a shame not to get it. A shame, but what can you do?
It's a shame, but also I feel like it's gone in our favour in a way, regarding the grades, it's talking about that positive vibes, and that silver lining. I do feel like it's actually benefited me grade wise, which I can't really complain with.
Sure. Yeah, I think hopefully it's been in my case as well.
I mean, right, so talking to you, so back in April, you were rated as the 11th most influential Jew in the UK under the age of 25, am I right?
Yeah.
Which is crazy, amazing. How did that make you feel?
Yeah, no, it was a massive, massive honour to kind of get that recognition, and to kind of see other people on the list and good friends of mine, and just to recognise kind of the work we've been doing over the past few years, particularly in the Jewish labour movement, and many people on that list were part of and are part of the JLM. So it's really nice to have that recognised, and again to be recognised amongst such a great group of other people.
I mean, going to talk about labour, obviously you have so much passion for it, and I've known you for a while, you've always been passionate about it, which is amazing, and I admire that. But you continued that campaigning through into Warwick Uni, and so how have you kind of taken obviously over the last few years they've had young Jews possibly moving away from the interest of supporting labour due to general issues and stuff with anti-Semitism and whatnot. How have you found this within university? Have you felt challenged?
Sure. I mean, undeniably, it's been a very, very difficult few years between the Labour Party and the Jewish community. And look, it's been challenging for me, it's been challenging for everyone. But to look at those silver linings at a student level, the picture is pretty good. You had Esther on before from UJS. UJS used to run training with the Jewish labour movement, going to all universities and labour clubs and training them about anti-Semitism, what is and isn't acceptable, how to engage Jewish people and Jewish students on campus. And that was broadly received really, really well. So at a student level, I think the picture is pretty good. And look, you're right to say that those kind of active Jewish people, Jewish students have moved away from the party. What I do think is in the past few weeks, that is starting to shift back, and people are who have left the party are starting to rejoin. I think that's good, because I think where the party is where most young Jews are in terms of progressive social issues, in terms of the NHS and free education, Britain's place in the world. So I do think it's part of the process. It's not going to happen overnight, that we can kind of regain that trust of the Jewish community and the Labour Party together.
I mean, like, going back to, like, you're obviously campaigning at university continuously, and, like, going back to what I said to Esther, like, passion is so key, and, like, doing something that if you want to be influential regarding something, like, you have to be passionate, and, like, you've clearly been passionate about this, like, your whole time and your whole experience, which definitely has an impact. I mean, like, how have your friends sort of approached this and supported you? Like, have you felt that there's, like, been that support for you as well as everyone else?
Definitely. I mean, I guess it's kind of, in my mind, I have my weird friends who do politics stuff with me, and my normal friends who I kind of, when there's an issue that's being debated, I kind of go to them and think, what do you, a normal person, feel about it? And kind of at birthdays or social events, when you bring those two groups together, it always makes for an interesting mix. But definitely, and I've made loads of friends along the way in the party, and it is a bit like a family as well as the Jewish community as well. And when there's been difficult times, people have rallied together, and when there's been good times, which have been rare, let's be honest, people have celebrated together, which is again really good.
Well, that community is so important, and, like, we need that, like, to function. Like, we have to have that support from those around us, and I think that's amazing. Like you said, with the Jewish students, or even with the, like, your political views, like, to have that support is really important and necessary. But, like, how have, like, you as a student, and, like, generally, like, the Jewish Labour movement, like, how have you approached sort of, like, dealt with this new reality that COVID-19 has brought upon us? Like, how have you coped with that? Like, what, like, has your passion changed? Like, has any way you've been dealing with stuff changed? Like, how are you feeling about that?
Sure, it's a really interesting question, because everything has changed, obviously, in kind of the second, third week of March. There's no physical contact and everyone moved online. But I think most events have taken place, and albeit in a slightly weird form. We're still having speaker events. We're still engaging as many people as possible. And actually, I do think the social aspects has possibly increased even more, with quizzes and stuff that didn't usually happen, or didn't happen to as great an extent. And actually think about, as we kind of come out of the lockdown in a phased way as possible, how we kind of maintain that and continue that spirit of trying to see people socially as well as kind of politically. And the fusion between those two is really nice.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that spending this time to really, I mean, like, for me, like, I've had a lot of time to myself to really think about, like, how I want to approach different things in life. Whether that's my friends, politics, like, physical activity, like, whatever it is, like, I feel like we've had more time to think about that. And I think that that's been a really important aspect. And again, like, bringing back to that highlights and that silver linings of it, like, I really do think this is a positive thing. Like, people are going to come out of this having had a new experience about this.
Definitely. Go on, sorry.
No, like, I just think it's really important, and I think that people really have sort of shared this and bonded over this kind of, like, weird time. Like, it is just strange. But I mean, like, obviously you've been, like, voted as one of the most influential Jews, which is, like, Jewish youth. Like, that's an amazing title to have. So, like, as someone who's so influential to the Jewish youth and the Jewish students, like, how do you think, like, the next year is going to look sort of for the Jewish student community with all these changes? I mean, like we mentioned with Esther before, like, Friday night dinners are going to change, things are going to be different. Like, how do you think that's going to change?
I guess it depends whether there's a vaccine or not. Without a vaccine, obviously, there's online learning. I think online learning is actually fine in terms of the quality. It just obviously presents issues for like the socializing, which is a really important part. But for students who have part-time work, how are they going to get that? Possibly they won't, which is a real shame. I mean, with a vaccine, fingers crossed, I'm optimistic that we'll get one in the autumn, but you can never tell. I think it's about kind of integrating communities, like local communities and students. So what we've seen over the past few weeks is, food banks and people donating, and it's been an unbelievable community spirit, people supporting neighbours who they've possibly never spoken to. And I think as we come out of this, to kind of integrate this together and kind of have proper structures so we maintain this going forward is absolutely essential. And I do think in terms of, like our medical students and people training to be nurses, really important that we give them the support, make it free, so that, you know, we can train as many NHS workers as possible, so that we don't have to kind of, you know, as great as the amazing spirit we've seen with people clapping for the NHS, it should never have been in such a state in the first place.
Yeah, and like, please God, like, it continues this way, and like continues with this positive vibe and this positive like energy towards these amazing organizations. And like, clearly for you as like a Jewish Labour supporter, like, you feel really passionately about like the NHS and the amazing work they're doing, and like they're like an inspiration to us all. Like, they really are, and like that's really been evident. Like, there's been so much support for them. Like, how have you sort of like, have you taken many inspirations for like, I mean, like during this time, like we've obviously come together as a community, like, are there specific people who like you really looked up to during this time, who've just done amazing things and like inspired you to like continue with your passion and things like that?
I mean, it's interesting because I've been reading a biography of Nye Bevan, who is the Labour politician who founded the NHS in the 40s. And actually the work that he did and the battles that he fought was, you know, everyone kind of assumes that it was inevitable, but it was so tough to fight those political battles that he won in the 40s. And, you know, we should be so grateful to him for the work he did back then, which is in terms of had an amazing impact for our generation, our parents, grandparents' generation, who have lived in the NHS, and the one that our great grandparents didn't. And hopefully we can keep it in a state where our children, please God, you know, can have an NHS that we can be proud of. I
think that's really, really amazing. And like taking that positive energy from this weird time, this COVID-19 that's literally changed the world, and for us to come together and support these amazing organizations like the NHS is like incredible. Yeah, absolutely. And I do think that as great as charity is, it's about actually having the structures in place that we don't need the charity there, and we can focus it on, you know, amazing causes like GIFT that you've been advertising, so that it has the funding basically there. But I do think when you see things like Captain Tom Moore, what an inspiration he is, it really shows that there's, you know, the spirit of humanity has kind of prevailed in the past few weeks, and all those silver linings you've been talking about. I think it's really amazing, and like we have to take this positive outlook. Like it's going to help us get forward, and I just really hope that everyone's going to continue with this passion and this like drive to like support these people who really inspire us and really are our role models. And I really hope this continues for all of us. Like you say, for our children, our children's children, and just the future in general. Absolutely, 100% agree. Amazing. Well, like I want to really thank you for talking to you. It's been really nice to chat. I mean, you're clearly like an influential member of like the Labour Activist Party, like the Jewish youth. Like it's amazing, and like again, like your passion in a different way to Esther, but still general passion is like incredible, and like it definitely drives the people we are today. Like it makes us who we are. No, likewise, and couldn't have done it without you in terms of what we achieved at KD, and hopefully taking that forward. Absolutely. For those of you who don't know, me and Nathan were head boy and head girl at King David in 2017, I want to say. So we worked really well together as like a team, and like bouncing off and like going back to that teamwork. We needed that. Like we need each other. We need our community. We need that support. And that hasn't changed, and that won't change. So we need each other. So yeah, thank you so much for coming on. Really hope to see you soon. It was lovely chatting to you. Thank you. I will now introduce Rabbi Gideon for the thought of the day. Our speakers have been incredible tonight, speaking to the UJS president, Esther, and speaking to Nathan as such an inspirational like person in the Labour Jewish activist movement. Like it's amazing.
They're great. They really are. It's thank you, Danielle, as well. And thank you. I know Nathan's backstage now and Esther's watching, just to thank them both for sharing their thoughts and some of their journey. And it really leads into the idea that I wanted to share as our thought of the day, which is really connected to this idea of leadership, but also connected to our theme of this evening, which was positivity and finding the silver lining and finding the good in everything and everyone. I was actually reading something this week about management and leadership. And it was speaking about the concept of stakeholders being different parties that might influence or might be impacted by our actions. In the business sense, it's clear you've got customers who are stakeholders, you've got shareholders, and you've got employees and employers, all that kind of thing. And you have to kind of play a difficult game of balancing all those different stakeholders to make sure that you're providing what each one of those people needs. And if you're not able to satisfy one stakeholder, you're going to lose the others as well. So the classic example in business is if you're not satisfying the employees, there's no way you can satisfy your customers, because the employees are not going to be giving good service. They're not going to be polite and friendly if they're grumpy and moody. And the same goes with all kind of areas of leadership. And to hear from Esther and Nathan tonight about how they've taken kind of a step up to the podium of Jewish leadership at this young age. You know, as we heard, Nathan was appointed or suggested to be one of the most influential young Jews under the age of 25. Unbelievable, unbelievable. And then to see Esther, someone who I met back in Birmingham, who had come from Germany and came as kind of by herself, not knowing anyone, to the middle of Birmingham in a university that she was unfamiliar with before she got there, and then suddenly to go from there in a short journey to make her way to the president of the Union of Jewish Students is inspiring and incredible. And the way that happens is because they were able to recognize who's important to them, who matters to them, and show them that. And it's for that reason I wanted to focus on a project that came to my attention that's been launched this week, but I think is absolutely fantastic, a beautiful idea and a beautiful project for the current times that we're living in. And in order to introduce that project, I want to share with you a video that really encapsulates what that project is. Take a minute to watch this video. Look for the good in everyone. It's a beautiful project. The idea is simple. I'm going to post in the comments below the link to that video so you can get the idea and really become someone who turns this idea of positivity, this idea of finding the good in others, going outside our comfort zone and actually sharing that with them. And by way of like developing and exploding that in a viral nature, it can spread from one person to the other, each person paying it forward until the whole world becomes kind of buzzing with positivity. That's the idea of this project. It's something that goes with the theme of this evening of finding the silver lining and being positive, and something that we wanted to promote. But before we say goodbye tonight, we have a very exciting announcement. If you're watching this and you're a student or you're a sixth former looking to go to university next year, and you're wondering what you're going to do with your summer, and you've had plans that have been cancelled, and you're wondering what on earth you're going to do to fill the next few months, and you're looking for something meaningful, something productive, that by the end of the summer you'll be in a better place than before, stay tuned. AISH UK are providing a fantastic global internship program. And our global internship program is going to feature some incredible opportunities in terms of internships with great companies, in terms of some fantastic social opportunities together with other Jewish students from around the country, as well as students to be, people looking to go to university. That's all happening in the AISH UK summer program. Check it out over the next few days. If you're looking for an internship, then you are looking in the right place. Check out our website at aish.org.uk. Thank you everyone for watching this evening. For those who aren't watching live, thank you for watching the non-live version. If you're interested to find out more about AISH programs and opportunities, check out our website, check out our Facebook page, and of course our YouTube channel. But that is all from our show this evening. It's been fantastic. Thank you to our guests, and thank you. We're looking forward to seeing you next week at the same time, Wednesday at 9 p.m. Thank you and good evening.